Urban II in 1095. It started as a widespread pilgrimage in Western Christendom and ended as a military expedition by Roman Catholic Europe to regain the Holy Lands taken in the Muslim conquest of the Levant 632 to 661, ultimately resulting in the recapture of Jerusalem in 1099. It was launched on 27 November 1095 by Pope Urban II with the primary goal of responding to an appeal from Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos, who requested that Western volunteers come to his aid and help to repel the invading Seljuk Turks from Anatolia. And an additional goal soon became the principal objective, the Christian reconquest of the sacred city of Jerusalem and the Holy Land, and the freeing of the Eastern Christians from Muslim rule. The Second Crusade, 1145 to 1149, was a second major crusade launched from Europe. The Second Crusade was started in response to the fall of the county of Edessa the previous year to the forces of Zingay. The county had been founded during the First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, by Baldwin of Boulogne in 1098. While it was the first Crusader state to be found, it was also the first to fall. The Second Crusade was announced by Pope Eugene III and was the first of the Crusades to be led by European kings, namely Louis V of France and Conrad III of Germany. With help from a number of other European nobles, the armies of the two kings marched separately across Europe. After crossing Byzantine territory into Anatolia, both armies were separately defeated by the Seljuk Turks. The main Western Christian source, Odo of Duel, and Syriac Christian sources claim that the Byzantine Emperor Emmanuel I Komnenos secretly hindered the Crusaders' progress, particularly in Anatolia, where he is alleged to have deliberately ordered Turks to attack them. Louis and Conrad and the remnants of their armies reached Jerusalem and in 1148 participated in an ill-advised attack on Damascus. The Crusade in the East was a failure for the Crusaders and a great victory for the Muslims. It would ultimately have a key influence on the fall of Jerusalem and give rise to the Third Crusade at the end of the 12th century.
The Third Crusade, also known as the King's Crusade, was an attempt by European leaders to reconquer the Holy Land from Saladin. The campaign was largely successful, capturing the important cities of Acre and Jaffa and reversing most of Saladin's conquest, but it failed to capture Jerusalem, the emotional and spiritual motivation of the crusade. After the failure of the Second Crusade, the Zengid dynasty controlled a unified Syria and engaged in a conflict with the Fatimid rulers of Egypt. The Egyptian and Syrian forces were ultimately unified under Saladin, who employed them to reduce the Christian states and recapture Jerusalem in 1187. Spurred by religious zeal, King Henry II of England and King Philip II of France ended their conflict with each other to lead a new crusade. The death of Henry in 1189, however, meant the English contingent came under the command of his successor, King Richard I of England. The elderly Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa also responded to the call of arms, leading a massive army across Anatolia, but he drowned in a river in Asia Minor on June 10, 1190, before reaching the Holy Land. His death caused tremendous grief among The Fourth Crusade was a Western European armed expedition originally intended to conquer Muslim-controlled Jerusalem by means of an invasion through Egypt. However, in January 1203, en route to Jerusalem, the majority of the Crusader leadership entered into an agreement with the Byzantine prince Alexios Angelos to divert Constantinople, capital of the Byzantine Empire, and restore his deposed father as emperor. The intention of the Crusaders was to then continue to the Holy Land with promised Byzantine financial and military assistance. On June 23, 1203, the main Crusader fleet reached Constantinople. Smaller contingents continued to Acre.
The Fifth Crusade was an attempt by Catholic Europeans to reacquire Jerusalem and the rest of the Holy Land by first conquering the powerful Ayyubid state in Egypt. Pope Innocent III and his successor, Pope Honorius III, organized crusading armies led by King Andrew II of Hungary and Duke Leopold VI of Austria in a foray against Jerusalem, ultimately left the city in Muslim hands. Later, in 1218, a German army led by Oliver and Cologne and a mixed army of Dutch, Flemish, and Frisian soldiers led by William I, Count of Holland, joined the crusade. In order to attack the Media in Egypt, they allied in Anatolia with the Seljuk Sultanate of Rome, which attacked by Ayyubids in Syria in an attempt to free the Crusaders from fighting on two fronts. After occupying the part of the Media, the Crusaders marched south towards Cairo in July 1221, but were turned back after the dwindling supplies led to a forced retreat. A nighttime attack by Sultan al-Kamil resulted in a great number of Crusader losses, and eventually, in the surrender of the army, al-Kamil agreed to The Sixth Crusade started in 1228 as an attempt to regain Jerusalem. It began 7 years after the failure of the Fifth Crusade and involved very little actual fighting. The diplomatic maneuvering of the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II resulted in the Kingdom of Jerusalem regaining some control over Jerusalem for much of the ensuing 15 years, as well as over other areas of the Holy Land. Instead of heading straight for the Holy Land, Frederick first sailed to Cyprus, which had been an imperial fiefdom since its capture by Richard the Lionheart on his way to Acre during the Third Crusade. The emperor arrived with the clear intent of stamping his authority on the kingdom, but was treated cordially by the native barons until a dispute arose between him and the constable of Cyprus. John of Ibelin. Frederick claimed that his regency was illegitimate and demanded the surrender of John's mainland fief of Beirut for the imperial throne. Here he erred, for John pointed out that the kingdoms of Cyprus and Jerusalem were constitutionally separate, and he could not be punished for offenses in Cyprus by seizure of Beirut. This would have important consequences for the crusade, as it alienated the powerful Ibelin faction, turning them against the emperor.